crystalline towers of Veleth Prime shattered like glass under the relentless assault. Kumara watched from the council chamber as another city fell, its beautiful structures collapsing into the shallow seas below. Her people were dying, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The Ravagers had arrived 3 weeks ago. Nobody knew where they came from or what they wanted. They simply consumed everything in their path. The swarm moved through space like a dark cloud, millions of bioships working together with terrifying efficiency. They didn't communicate. They didn't negotiate. They only destroyed. Kumara's hands trembled as she reviewed the casualty reports. 2 colonies were already gone. The third would fall within days. Her people had never known war. The Velati were peaceful, living in harmony with their ocean world for thousands of years. They had no weapons, no soldiers, no concept of military strategy. Even their ships were designed for exploration and trade, not combat. "We must ask the Galactic Council for help," said her assistant, a young Velati named Sura. Her blue skin had turned pale with fear. "I have asked," Kumara replied, her voice heavy with despair. 12 times. They sent sympathy and promises, but no action. The truth was bitter. The Galactic Council was made up of species like the Velati. Most of them were peaceful, having evolved on gentle worlds where cooperation was more valuable than conflict. Those few species that had weapons possessed only basic defense systems, meant to deter attacks, not win wars. None of them could stand against the Ravagers. Sura looked at the communication console, her large eyes reflecting the glow of incoming messages. All of them were the same: thoughts and prayers, condolences, offers of refugee support for survivors. But no military aid. "There must be someone," Sura whispered. "Someone in the galaxy who can fight." Kumara thought about that. In her long career as a diplomat, she had heard rumors, whispers about species that were different, dangerous. The Council kept records of every known civilization, including those that were deemed too risky for contact. She accessed the restricted files, her diplomatic credentials granting her access to information most Velati never saw. The database contained thousands of entries, species classified as aggressive, worlds labeled as hazardous, civilizations under quarantine for various reasons. One entry caught her attention. Species 347. Classification: Deathworlder. Home planet Earth Class 12 Hazard World. Status: quarantined by council order. The details made her skin crawl. Earth was a nightmare world by any civilized standard. It had violent weather patterns that could destroy cities, tectonic plates that shifted without warning, causing massive destruction, a moon so large it created devastating tidal forces. The atmosphere contained oxygen at dangerous levels, making everything more flammable. The planet was home to countless species that killed and ate each other in endless cycles of predation. And the humans. The file described them in clinical terms, but the horror was clear. They were predators. They had forward-facing eyes for tracking prey. They could run for hours without stopping, chasing animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Their bodies were filled with fast-twitch muscle fibers for sudden bursts of violence. They healed quickly from injuries that would kill most species. They were omnivores, able to eat almost anything. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and the countless dangers of their terrible world. The Council had quarantined them 50 years ago after first contact. Not because humans were hostile, but because they were too dangerous. Their very nature frightened the peaceful species of the galaxy. Even their entertainment was violent, filled with stories of war and conflict. Their history was written in blood. "This is insane," Kumara muttered to herself. She was considering asking monsters for help. But what choice did she have? Her people were dying. The Council had abandoned them. If there was even a small chance that these humans could help, she had to try. "Sura, I need you to encode a message," Kumara said, making her decision. "We're going to contact the humans." Sura's eyes widened with shock. "But Elder, they're quarantined. Contact is forbidden. Our people are being exterminated. I don't care about protocols anymore." The young assistant nodded slowly and began preparing the transmission. Kumara composed the message carefully. She explained the situation, the Ravagers, the Council's failure to respond. She didn't beg. Dignity was important, even in desperation. She simply asked if they would be willing to help. The message was sent toward Earth, piercing through the quarantine boundary. Kumara knew she was breaking dozens of laws. The Council would probably strip her of her position. They might even imprison her. None of that mattered if her people survived. Hours passed. Kumara remained in the chamber, watching the Ravagers advance on another colony. She had no idea if the humans had even received the message. Perhaps they would ignore it. Perhaps they would laugh at the weak aliens who had locked them away and now came crawling for help. Then the console beeped. Sura gasped and pointed at the screen. "Elder, we have a response." The message was short and direct, translated into Velathi language by their systems. The words appeared on the screen in simple text. Message received. Help is coming. Kumara felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. It was small and fragile, but it was there. She looked at Sura, who was staring at the message with a mixture of relief and fear. "How long until they arrive?" Sura asked. "I don't know, but we need to inform the council. They need to know what's coming." Kumara sent an official communication to the council chambers informing them of her actions. The response was immediate and angry. She was ordered to cancel the request. The council representative called her reckless and dangerous. They said she had doomed them all by inviting Deathworlders into civilized space. But Kumara didn't care. She closed the channel and returned to monitoring the Ravagers. If the humans didn't arrive soon, there would be nothing left to save. She could only wait and hope that she had made the right choice. Outside the chamber windows, another city fell to the swarm. The crystalline towers crumbled and sank beneath the waves. Somewhere in the distance, ships were coming. Ships from a world of violence and death. Ships carrying beings that the galaxy feared. For the first time in her life, Kumara prayed for monsters to arrive. The human ships appeared at the edge of Velathi space exactly 72 hours after Kumara's message. There were 3 of them, dropping out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue energy that made the Velathi sensor operators jump in surprise. Kumara stood in the observation deck, staring at the images on the screen. The ships were nothing like the elegant vessels of the Galactic Council. They were blocky and crude, assembled from gray metal plates that showed welding marks and repair patches. Strange symbols were painted on their hulls in white. Tubes and cylinders protruded from their surfaces at odd angles. They looked more like industrial equipment than spacecraft, but there was something intimidating about them. They moved with purpose, their engines burning bright as they accelerated into formation. Weapon ports lined their sides, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. The lead ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest Velathi vessel. "They're hailing us," Sura said, her voice shaking slightly. Kumara nodded. "Open the channel." Video and audio. The screen flickered, and then she saw them. Humans. The first living humans any Velathi had ever seen. The one in the center wore a dark blue uniform with gold markings on the shoulders. He had short black hair and sharp, angular features. His eyes were positioned at the front of his face like a predator's eyes, giving him binocular vision for hunting. Those eyes focused on Kumara with an intensity that made her want to step back. "I am Captain Tae-hyun of the United Nations Space Command vessel Indomitable," the human said. His voice was deep and controlled. "We received your distress call. What is your tactical situation?" Kumara tried to find her voice. Up close, humans were even more frightening than the files had suggested. Their faces were mobile and expressive in ways that seemed almost aggressive. They showed their teeth when they spoke. Their bodies were dense with muscle, built for strength and endurance. "I am Elder Diplomat Kumara. The Ravagers have destroyed 2 of our colonies and are currently attacking a 3rd. We have no military capabilities. The Galactic Council has refused to send aid." A female human leaned forward from beside Tae-hyun. She had longer hair tied back tightly and wore the same uniform. Her eyes were analytical, scanning something off-screen. "How many enemy vessels are we looking at?" "Our sensors show approximately 50,000 bioships in the immediate area," Kumara replied. "There may be more in the outer system." The humans exchanged glances. Kumara felt her hope crumbling. Even Deathworlders couldn't face such numbers. She had made a terrible mistake, but Tae-hyun just nodded. "Understood. We'll need full sensor data on enemy movements, weapons capabilities, and attack patterns. Can you provide that?" "You're not leaving?" Kumara asked, unable to hide her surprise. "You asked for help. We came to help." Tae-hyun's expression didn't change. "Hee-won, start analyzing their data. Dong-ha, I want a tactical assessment in 10 minutes. Ji-woo, prep your Marines for possible boarding actions." The humans around him responded immediately, moving with practiced efficiency. Kumara realized she was watching a military operation unfold. These beings had done this before many times. "Captain, I must warn you," Kumara said carefully. "The Ravagers are extremely dangerous. They attack in overwhelming numbers. They don't stop, they don't retreat, and they don't communicate. Every species that has encountered them has been destroyed." Taehyun looked directly at her, and for a moment, Kumara saw something in those predator eyes. Not fear, not hesitation, something harder. "Ma'am, with respect, every species that fought them didn't come from Earth." Another human spoke up, a male with grease stains on his uniform. "Captain, I've reviewed their ship schematics. I can retrofit some of their vessels with our weapon systems. Won't be pretty, but it'll give them defensive capabilities." "Do it, Dong-ha. Work with their engineers." The female officer, Hee-won, looked up from her console. "Sir, the Ravagers have detected us. They're diverting approximately 10,000 bioships toward our position." 10,000. Kumara felt sick. That was more than enough to overwhelm 3 human ships, no matter how well armed they were. But the humans just began working faster. Orders were given in calm, professional tones. Systems powered up. Weapons charged. The ships moved into a defensive formation that seemed strange to Kumara's eyes. Almost aggressive rather than protective. "Elder Kumara," Taehyun said, his attention returning to the screen. "I need you to evacuate this station. Get your people to safety. Things are going to get dangerous here." "What are you going to do?" "Our job." He paused, then added, "You should know the Galactic Council is going to be very unhappy about what happens next. We don't fight the way civilized species fight. We don't follow their rules of engagement. We do what works." Kumara understood what he wasn't saying. Humans were brutal. Their methods would shock the peaceful species of the galaxy. But she had invited them here. She had asked for warriors, and warriors had answered. "Do what you must, Captain. Save my people." Taehyun nodded once, a gesture that seemed to carry weight beyond the simple movement. "We will." Indomitable out, the screen went dark. Kumara stood in silence for a moment, processing what had just happened. The humans hadn't hesitated, hadn't questioned, hadn't demanded payment or negotiated terms. They had simply accepted the mission and begun preparing for battle. "Elder, we should evacuate," Sura said quietly. "No, we stay. If the humans are willing to fight for us, the least we can do is witness it." Sura looked like she wanted to argue but remained silent. Together they watched the screens as the Ravager swarm approached. The dark cloud of bioships moved like a living thing, pulsing and shifting as it crossed the distance between them and the human fleet. The human ships held their position, not retreating an inch. Their weapons tracked the incoming swarm with mechanical precision. Kumara could see small craft launching from the larger vessels, single-pilot fighters that seemed impossibly small and fragile. The Ravagers opened fire first, biological weapons, acids and projectiles and energy beams that had destroyed countless Velothi ships. The attacks hit the human shields, which flared with blue light but held firm. Then the humans returned fire. The space between the two forces lit up like a star going nova. Missiles streaked out in brilliant trails. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Explosions blossomed across the Ravager formation, each one destroying dozens of bioships. But the swarm kept coming. For every ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. They surrounded the human vessels, attacking from every angle at once. It looked hopeless. It looked like suicide. Kumara watched in horror and awe as the battle truly began. The humans had come to help. Now she would see if Deathworlders could truly make a difference or if she had simply invited them to die alongside her people. The battle raged for 18 hours without pause. Kumara and Sura watched every moment of it, unable to look away despite the horror unfolding before them. The Ravagers fought exactly as expected. They swarmed the human ships in waves, attacking from every direction, trying to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. Their bioships fired acid that could melt through standard hull plating. They rammed vessels with their armored bodies. They coordinated their attacks with the precision of a hive mind. Against any other species, it would have worked. But the humans were different. Captain Taehyun commanded from the bridge of the Indomitable, his voice steady even as his ship shook from impacts. He gave orders that made no sense to Kumara. He deliberately exposed his flanks to draw enemy fire, then rotated the ship to present fresh shields. He launched missiles that seemed to miss their targets, only to detonate in patterns that destroyed entire groups of Ravagers at once. Hee-won worked at her tactical station, her fingers moving across controls faster than Kumara could track. She called out firing solutions, predicted enemy movements, and adjusted defensive patterns in real time. When one of her screens exploded in a shower of sparks, she simply moved to another station without breaking stride. But it was the Marines that truly shocked Kumara. When the Ravagers breached the hull of one of the smaller human ships, she thought it was over. The aliens would swarm inside and slaughter the crew. Instead, Commander Jiwoo led her soldiers into the breach. The security footage showed everything. The Marines wore heavy armor that made them look even larger and more intimidating. They carried weapons that fired metal projectiles at incredible speeds, tearing through Ravager carapaces like paper. They moved through the corridors in coordinated teams, covering each other, never leaving a teammate behind. A Ravager leaped at one Marine from above. Its claws should have torn through the human's armor. Instead, the Marine caught it in midair, slammed it against a wall, and shot it 3 times before it hit the ground. Another Marine lost his weapon when acid melted it, so he pulled out a knife and kept fighting. "A knife against creatures twice his size. How are they doing this?" Sura whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. Kumara had no answer. She watched as the human Marines cleared section after section, pushing the Ravagers back through sheer determination and violence. They were wounded. She could see blood on their armor, see them limping, see the exhaustion in their movements, but they didn't stop. In the engineering section, Dongha's crew faced their own crisis. A Ravager acid attack had damaged the main power systems. Standard procedure would be to evacuate that section and seal it off. Instead, Dongha and his engineers went in wearing protective suits, working to repair the damage while toxic fumes filled the air around them. "Bypass the primary conduit," Dongha shouted over the comm system. "Route power through the backup systems. I don't care if it's not designed for that load, make it work." His crew followed orders without question. They welded damaged components, rerouted systems on the fly, and performed repairs that should have taken days in a matter of hours. When one engineer was injured by an explosion, 2 others dragged him to safety and kept working. The Ravagers kept coming. They had numbers on their side, an endless supply of bioships willing to throw themselves at the human vessels. But the humans had something else. They had experience fighting on a world that had tried to kill them every day of their evolution. They had developed strategies for survival that no other species could match. Taehyun did something that made Kumara's blood run cold. He deliberately decompressed 3 sections of his ship, venting them to space. Dozens of Ravagers that had breached the hull were sucked out into the vacuum. Then he sealed the sections again and continued fighting. He sacrificed part of his own ship, Sura said, horrified, but Kumara understood now. The humans weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting to survive. And survival meant making hard choices, taking risks that seemed insane and never giving up no matter how bad things looked. The battle reached its peak at hour 24. The Ravagers launched their largest assault. Sending thousands of bioships at the Indomitable in a coordinated attack meant to overwhelm its defenses completely. For a moment, Kumara thought it was over. The human ship disappeared behind a wall of enemy vessels. Then something extraordinary happened. The Indomitable fired every weapon it had simultaneously. Missiles, energy beams, railguns, and weapons Kumara didn't even recognize. The ship lit up like a small sun, pouring out destructive force in every direction. At the same time, the other 2 human ships moved in, flanking the Ravager formation and catching them in crossfire. The 3 vessels worked together with perfect coordination, their attacks timed to create maximum devastation. The Ravager swarm broke. For the first time in recorded history, they retreated. The surviving bioships pulled back, regrouping at the edge of the system. Thousands of their corpses drifted in space, forming a debris field around the human fleet. Kumara couldn't believe what she was seeing. The humans had won. 3 ships against 50,000 enemies, and the humans had won. But the cost was visible. The Indomitable's hull was scorched and pitted with damage. One of the other ships was venting atmosphere from multiple breaches. Escape pods drifted in space, carrying wounded crew members to safety. The comm channel opened again. Taehyun appeared on screen, his uniform torn and a cut above his eye bleeding slowly. Behind him, the bridge was a disaster of sparks and smoke and damaged equipment. But he was calm, professional, focused. Elder Kumara, the immediate threat has been neutralized. The Ravagers are regrouping, but they won't attack again soon. We've shown them that we're not easy prey. Captain, your casualties. 43 dead, 217 wounded. We're counting the cost now. His expression hardened. But your people are safe. That's what matters. Kumara felt tears forming in her eyes, a Velathi expression of overwhelming emotion. Why would you sacrifice so much for strangers? Taehyun was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his words were simple but carried enormous weight. Because you asked for help. Because it was the right thing to do. Because that's what humans do. The screen went dark again. Kumara stood in the observation deck, surrounded by her people who had watched the entire battle. They were safe because beings from a terrible world had chosen to fight for them. The galaxy would never be the same. The human ships remained in Velathi space for 2 weeks after the battle. They needed time to repair their vessels and tend to their wounded. Kumara watched as the 3 damaged warships slowly restored themselves, their crews working around the clock to fix what the Ravagers had broken. The Galactic Council was furious. They sent dozens of messages demanding that Kumara send the humans away immediately. They called her actions reckless and dangerous. They said she had violated the quarantine and endangered the entire galaxy by letting Deathworlders into civilized space. Kumara deleted every message without responding. Instead, she requested permission to visit the Indomitable. Captain Taehyun agreed, and a small Velathi shuttle carried her across space to the massive human vessel. Sura came with her, curious and nervous about seeing the inside of a Deathworlder ship. They docked in one of the Indomitable's bays. When the airlock opened, Kumara stepped into a world completely different from anything she knew. The corridors were utilitarian and cramped, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Everything was metal and plastic, hard surfaces that could withstand damage. The air smelled strange, with a sharp metallic quality that made her skin tingle. A young human met them, introducing herself as Ensign Minji. She wore a fresh uniform and smiled warmly, though Kumara still found the display of teeth unsettling. Minji guided them through the ship, pointing out various sections. "This is our mess hall," she said, gesturing to a large room where dozens of humans sat eating and talking. The noise level was shocking. Velathi communicated in soft melodic tones, but humans were loud, their voices carrying easily across the space. They laughed, argued, and told stories with animated gestures. Kumara noticed something unexpected. Many of the humans had visible injuries, bandages, casts, healing burns. But they still smiled. They still joked with each other. One soldier with his arm in a sling was playing some kind of game with cards, talking trash to his opponents while others watched and cheered. "How can they be so happy after what happened?" Sura asked quietly. Minji overheard. "Because we're alive. Because we won. Humans celebrate survival, not mourn sacrifice. The ones who died, they're heroes. We honor them by living fully." They continued the tour. The medical bay was filled with both human and Velathi patients. Dr. Jaewon worked tirelessly, moving between beds with steady hands and a gentle manner. He treated Velathi refugees who had been injured in the attacks with the same care he gave his own crew. "Your wounds are healing well," Jaewon told a young Velathi child, checking her bandages. "You'll be back home soon." The child looked up at him with wide eyes, clearly frightened by his appearance. But Jaewon just smiled softly and offered her a piece of candy from his pocket. The child took it hesitantly, then smiled back. Kumara watched this interaction with growing confusion. These were the same beings who had fought with such brutal efficiency just days ago, the same species that had killed thousands of Ravagers without hesitation. How could they be both warriors and healers, violent and kind? Finally, they reached the hydroponics bay. Kumara stopped in the doorway, stunned by what she saw. Plants. Hundreds of them growing in carefully tended rows under artificial lights. Vegetables, fruits, flowers, even small trees. The air here was humid and rich with the smell of growing things. "This is beautiful," Sura whispered. A human was working among the plants, carefully pruning and watering. She looked up as they entered and waved. "Welcome. I'm botanist Yuna. This is my favorite place on the ship." "You grow your own food?" Kumara asked. "Some of it, yes. But mostly we do this because it reminds us of home. Earth. Seeing green things grow, smelling soil, hearing water, it keeps us connected to where we came from." Kumara walked through the rows, touching leaves gently. "I don't understand you. Your world is terrible, but you love it. You're capable of such violence, but you grow flowers. How can both things be true?" Yuna considered the question carefully. "Earth is harsh, yes. But it's also beautiful. It taught us to be strong. But it also taught us to appreciate life. Every flower that blooms on Earth does so despite the wind, the cold, the predators. We learned that life is precious because it's difficult. We fight to protect it. Captain Tae-hyun found them there, walking through the green rows with his hands behind his back. He looked tired but at peace. The stress of command lifting slightly in this quiet place. Elder Kumara, I hope you found your tour informative. Confusing is more accurate, Captain. I thought I understood what humans were. Files described you as warriors from a death world. But this, she gestured around the hydroponics bay. This isn't what warriors do. Tae-hyun picked up a small tomato, examining it carefully before setting it back. We're not just warriors. We're survivors. There's a difference. Warriors fight because they must. Survivors fight to protect what they love. We love Earth despite its dangers. We love our families. We love life itself. That's why we're good at defending it. The Galactic Council fears you. I know. They see our weapons and our tactics and they judge us as monsters. But they've never had to face real threats. They've lived in peace so long they've forgotten that peace must sometimes be protected by those willing to face violence. Kumara was silent for a moment, thinking about his words. Finally, she asked the question that had been bothering her since the battle ended. How can you be so violent and yet so kind? Tae-hyun met her eyes directly. Because we understand both. We know what it means to hurt, so we know how to heal. We know what it means to lose, so we know how to protect. Earth made us strong, but it also made us compassionate. You can't survive a world like ours without learning to help each other. From across the bay, an alarm sounded. Hee-won's voice came over the comm system. Captain, Ravager scouts detected at the outer system boundary. They're not attacking, just observing. Tae-hyun's expression hardened immediately. The peaceful gardener vanished, replaced by the military commander. Battle stations. Hee-won, track their movements. Don't engage unless they enter the inner system. He looked back at Kumara. You should return to your station, Elder. The Ravagers might try again. What will you do? What we always do. Protect those who need protection. That's the human way. As Kumara and Sura left the Indomitable, they carried with them a new understanding. Humans were terrifying, yes, but they were also noble. They were violent, but only in defense of life. They came from a nightmare world, but they used their strength to help others. The question now was whether the Galactic Council would understand that before it was too late. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session 6 months after the Battle of Velath Prime. Representatives from 47 species gathered to discuss the human question. The chamber was filled with concerned voices, all debating what to do about the Deathworlders who had violated quarantine. Kumara stood at the speaker's podium, facing the assembled council. She had rehearsed her speech dozens of times, but now that the moment had arrived, she felt the weight of what she was about to do. The council wanted to send the humans back to Earth and seal the quarantine permanently. She was here to stop that from happening. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. 6 months ago, my people faced extinction. We sent out desperate calls for help. This council, with all its wisdom and resources, sent us sympathy but no aid. We were left to die alone. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some representatives looked uncomfortable. The humans heard our call. They crossed the quarantine boundary to help us. 3 ships against 50,000 enemies. They fought for us. They bled for us. 43 of them died for us. They asked for nothing in return. A representative from the Centaurian Assembly stood. Elder Kumara, we understand your gratitude. But the humans are dangerous. Their very nature is a threat to galactic peace. Dangerous to whom? Kumara challenged. They saved us from the Ravagers. They've been protecting our borders for 6 months, volunteering their time and resources. Not once have they threatened a peaceful species. Tell me, Representative, who should fear them? The innocent or those who would harm the innocent? Another voice spoke up, this time from the Andromedan Coalition. Their methods are brutal. We've seen the battle recordings. The destruction they caused was excessive. The destruction was necessary, Kumara replied firmly. The Ravagers only understand force. You cannot negotiate with a swarm that exists only to consume. The humans did what needed to be done, what none of us were capable of doing. She paused, looking around the chamber at all the peaceful species who had never known real war. I've spent 6 months studying humans. I've visited their ships, spoken with their crews, learned about their history. Yes, they're violent. Yes, they're dangerous, but they're also kind, compassionate, and honorable. They have a saying, "We protect those who cannot protect themselves." That's what they did for us. From the back of the chamber, a door opened. Sura entered, followed by Captain Taehyun and his senior officers. The humans had been invited to speak, though Kumara knew many council members were uncomfortable with their presence. Taehyun walked to the podium with calm confidence. He wore his formal uniform, medals gleaming on his chest. Hee-won, Dong-ha, Ji-woo, and Jae-won stood behind him, representing the different faces of humanity. Honored Council, Taehyun began, his deep voice steady and respectful. I understand your concerns about my species. We are different from you. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. We evolved as predators and survivors. These things are true and we don't deny them. He gestured to his officers. But we're also more than our origins. Hai-won here is a mathematician and strategist who could have lived a peaceful life teaching. Dong-ha is an engineer who dreams of building bridges between worlds, not weapons. Ji-woo protects the weak because she was once weak herself. Jae-won heals because he knows what it means to suffer. Taehyun's expression became more serious. You've kept us quarantined for 50 years because you fear what we might do. But in those 50 years, we've never attacked anyone. We've defended ourselves when necessary. But we've never been the aggressors. We've waited patiently for the day when you might accept us. He paused, letting his words sink in. The Velathi gave us that chance. They trusted us despite their fear, and we proved that trust was not misplaced. We're not asking you to love us or even like us. We're asking for a chance to show you what humans can offer. Protection for those who need it. Innovation and new perspectives. Partnership, not domination. A council member from the Syrian cluster spoke up. What guarantee can you offer that humans won't become a threat? Your weapons could destroy any of our worlds. No guarantee, Taehyun admitted honestly. Just our word and our actions. Judge us not by what we could do, but by what we choose to do. We choose to help. We choose to protect. We choose to be part of the galactic community as equal partners, not conquerors. The debate continued for hours. Representatives argued back and forth, some supporting humanity's inclusion, others demanding continued quarantine. Kumara watched it all, her heart's beating rapidly as the decision hung in balance. Finally, the council called for a vote. The chamber fell silent as the results appeared on the display screens. The vote was close, very close, but in the end, the majority voted in favor of granting humanity provisional membership in the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered, others protested. Kumara felt relief wash over her. Sura hugged her tightly, tears streaming down her face. Taehyun simply nodded once, accepting the decision with quiet dignity. His officers smiled. The first time Kumara had seen them all relax simultaneously. The next few months brought enormous changes. Human ships began patrolling the outer regions of Council space, volunteering to defend against threats. They established a training academy where other species could learn defensive strategies. They shared technology and knowledge, helping civilizations develop better protection systems. Dong-ha worked with Velathi engineers to create hybrid ships that combined human durability with Velathi elegance. The results were beautiful vessels that could withstand attacks while maintaining the artistic style the Velathi loved. Ji-woo trained the first class of non-human soldiers, teaching them tactics and strategies. She was patient with her students, understanding that they came from peaceful worlds and had to overcome natural resistance to violence. But she showed them that protecting others was not about aggression, it was about courage and sacrifice. Sura became humanity's ambassador, traveling to Earth and returning with reports that amazed her people. She wrote extensively about human culture, explaining how a species could be both dangerous and beautiful, violent and artistic, strong and compassionate. When the Ravagers returned 9 months later, testing Council defenses in a distant sector, the response was immediate. Human ships jumped to the location, but they didn't arrive alone. 3 Velathi support vessels equipped with new human-designed weapons traveled alongside them. Other species contributed too: Centaurian medical ships, Andromedan supply vessels, Syrian intelligence. Kumara watched the fleet depart from her office, feeling proud of what they had accomplished. The galaxy was learning that strength and compassion weren't opposites. They were partners. Humans had taught them that lesson through actions, not words. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Taehyun prepared his crew for another battle. But before giving the order to engage, he opened a channel to the entire fleet. "To all ships," he said, his voice carrying across multiple species and cultures. Someone called for help. We answered. That's what we do. Not just humans anymore, all of us together. Let's show them what unity looks like. The fleet jumped to battle together, different species working as one. The age of humanity's isolation was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, other species facing darkness would soon learn what the Velothi had discovered. When you cry out for help, someone answers. Sometimes they come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes they come from a death world called Earth.